views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Russell. Welcome to the Healing Light Podcast. I am a psychic intuitive who's been reading tarot cards for over 25 years. I'm also Reiki certified. Join me as I read cards, share intuitive messages, promote healing, and much, much more. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Healing Light Podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Russell. I want to thank you all for listening in, and I want to thank Paranormal Buzz Radio for sponsoring the podcast. Just wanted to remind you that I'm always looking for show ideas, guest ideas. A few ways you can reach me. You can shoot me an email at the healinglight1, that's the healing light number 1, at gmail.com. I do have a Facebook page, The Healing Light NH. I'm on Instagram, The Healing Light NH. I have a blog on Pinterest, The Healing Light. I have a YouTube channel. I recently put myself on Patreon, so if you want to reach me there. I'm on TikTok, but I always say that I'm not the best at TikTok, so good luck with that. But I'm on there. So today's topic for me is pretty unique one because it's a little bit tough to talk about. It's spirituality. It's been on my mind lately. Spirituality, my spirituality, what that really means for people. What is it? Is it the same as being part of a religion, an organized religion, or a belief system, or is it safe? There's just so many things to think about. So I just did a quick Wikipedia search on spirituality, see what the general definition of it is. And it's the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. So that's pretty basic. And we'll talk about what does it really mean. We'll talk about being concerned with the human spirit or soul. So I wanted to reach out to a couple friends of mine, and I went to some people that some famous people that I wanted to see about what they thought about spirituality and how they define it. So this is from my one of my good friends, Patty. She said for her, spirituality is alignment of spirit. It's our personal construct from which we make our moral and ethical decisions intent on bettering ourselves and humanity. I asked my fiance, Shelley, what does it mean to you? And she said she feels that spirituality is when you are open to everything, including spirit and God. Finally, my friend Susan C., she said she sees it as peace, a lift, and serenity. It's an uplift. I just thought that was very interesting. So a couple of people that I really respect and admire. One of them is Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a astrophysicist and very, very smart man and written some books, and he's just a genius. he's been asked about spirituality and religion and all that. So he wrote an essay called Holy War, Holy Wars. It was published in 1999. So he wrote, "Let there be no doubt that as they are currently practiced, there is no common ground between science and religion. On their intersection," he added, "I have yet to see a successful prediction about the physical world that was inferred or extrapolated from the content of any religion's document." And then in a September 2008 essay, he added, and he wrote this in The Humanist, he wrote, "I think based on all the folks who are agnostic historically, I come closer to the behavior of an agnostic than the behavior of an atheist." So he was talking pretty much about religion, but I think that also goes with spirituality as well. And so agnostic basically is someone who is not a non-believer, but they want evidence. And then it kind of makes sense because he is a scientist. He's a man of science. So I think he would want evidence. So he's not saying that he's opposed to it, but that he wants to see proof. And then an atheist is there is no higher being, no God. We're born, we die, and then that's it. So that's coming from Neil deGrasse Tyson. So I found his thoughts on it on a really interesting, because he's been asked this a lot. Now, one of the women that I admire is Mother Teresa, and she's now a saint, by the way, which I think is very cool. This is what her thoughts are. One filled with joy preaches without preaching. I do not pray for success. I ask for faithfulness. I know I am touching the living body of Christ in the broken bodies of the hungry and the suffering. Each one of them is Jesus in disguise. So I really like that too, because it seems to me that for her, it goes more beyond her beliefs and her religious beliefs, but it's humanity and how we look at others and how we treat each other in the world. She worked with very poor people in Calcutta. She had no qualms about working with people who are ill or extremely poor in poverty-stricken areas. So for her, that was practicing her faith. And finally, I love Buddhism. I love Buddha. I have a shrine to Buddha at home, and I have Buddha on my altar. And FYI, Richard Gere is a Buddhist, and Tina Turner was a Buddhist. So there's actually people that we have heard about who are Buddhists. But Buddha wrote, "He who experiences the unity of life sees his own self in all beings, and all beings in his own self, and looks on everything with an impartial eye. Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. Be a lamp unto yourself." So he's saying that everyone needs to be spiritual in their life. That you cannot, there is no being without living a spiritual life. And just as a thought too, this is spirituality as opposed to religion. So when I think about spirituality, when I think of spirituality, I thought, what are some words that come to mind when I think about spirituality? And I wrote down these items: higher power, spirit guides, nature, God, goddess, awakening, vibrations, energy, love, unconditional love. And I found this other great quote, and I'm going to butcher his name, so forgive me. I think this is Thich Nhat Hanh. He said, enlightenment is when a wave realizes it's the ocean. A wave is the ocean. And I just think that that's a great quote to live by, is that you realize that we may not be alone in this world, that we are surrounded by, you know, the universe and others out there. And, you know, I was doing some thinking too, because I have the healing light, and in my healing light practice, I talk about, I read tarot cards, I'm a psychic medium, I work with crystals, I have crystal grids, a Reiki practitioner, and I believe definitely in the healing power of the universe and manifestation and all that. So let me just give you a little bit of background on my my history with spirituality, and you know, the path that I was on. So in my house with my mother, and my father, well, my parents were divorced when I was a baby. Um, so my mother, we lived with my mother until she remarried, and then my father moved out and he remarried. And I would see my father, you know, every summer in Maine, and you know, we talk on my birthday and Christmas and all that. So, but when I was primarily raised by my mother at home. She was, you know, primary custody parent when she was, back then they didn't call it co-parenting, but I guess she would be the major co-parent. I don't know what you call that now. And we did not go to church on Sunday. She, and I remember, but I remember being little, and she would go to services at the Unitarian Church. So the Unitarian Church is a very open and welcoming, like kind of like a congregational church, um, and very open to people. But what I remember most is I would go in the daycare area, and I can remember playing with my friends in the daycare area. Um, but spirituality and religion wasn't really talked about in my house. I mean, there's a lot of things that weren't talked about back then, but religion and spirituality was not one of those topics. Um, it's just something that I never even really thought about, what it truly means to be spiritual and religious. As I got a little bit older, one of my best friends in elementary school was a girl by the name of Rebecca Hope, Becky, as she was called. Now, her family, great family, kind of took me in, you know, because we were best friends. And looking back on it now, they were, I believe they were like what they called born again Christians, um, maybe like what you might call like evangelical Christians, whatever you might call it today. Um, and again, I was part of a church youth group, and it was called, Becky and I were part of a church youth group called Awana, which stands for All Workmen Are Not Ashamed. And so I remember going on day trips with them, and we would go to their hall. I don't ever remember going to a service, but the kids would get together, and we had these like badges and banners, sashes and all that. And we would, I can still sing some songs, some Bible songs, Jesus loves me, and we would have so much fun. But again, to me, uh, it was, I think it was just understood that there was Jesus and God, but it wasn't really like I couldn't really comprehend what that really meant. I just know I had fun with Becky, and we would have a blast together. And unfortunately, um, we separated. I don't know. Sometimes friendships happen; they fall by the wayside. You both get older, you grow apart. I went to a different school, and she went to a different school. But anyway, um, as I get a little bit older, um, my high school sweetheart is a Roman Catholic. And what I remember about I would go to mass with him, not every Sunday, but I would go to mass with him on Sundays, and you learn all about what the mass is all about, and that was the first exposure I could have to like spirituality and religion. And for whatever reason, I can think why, but I was just looking, I was kind of lost and looking to fit in. So I even thought about converting to Catholicism. It was before I was, out of the closet, and, I just didn't know my own way. Um, so that was my first exposure to spirituality and like religion was him being Catholic. But, you know, I kind of, my father was more of the um, free free thinker. Um, he he did like a shamanistic, like a shaman practice, and he's the one who taught me about tarot cards. And we didn't talk about God or what that means or anything like that, but he introduced me more to like the spirit world and that sort of thing, and that's what I kind of leaned toward. It kind of it clicked with me, making sense because of the energy that comes when you read tarot cards and what they're all about and the history and how that all works. But I really, as the years progress, you get in contact with more people. Um, you you get exposed to more spiritual beliefs because everyone has different religions that they belong to. And to be honest, I rejected religion and spirituality for a long time. I come from trauma, and I had bad trauma when I was younger, and also being gay. Um, you hear, and some people to this day, if you're gay, you're going to hell. It's against God. It's against everybody. So I rejected spirituality and God and religion. And I think I didn't know really, I didn't want to say I was an atheist, but I didn't want to say it was, I think I was leaning more towards being an agnostic because I was feeling like if there is truly a God out there, then how could he let this happen to me? And why is there war in the world and pain and suffering? And I was taught to. I want to add, that there's a heaven and a hell, and if you do certain things, you go to hell, and all that. And so I felt as like lost, and I just didn't understand that whole. I really questioned where my belief system was. And then my father kind of turned me towards a possibility of a belief in spirituality when he did bring out his tarot cards and he did teach me about tarot, and he talked about he could see like he could see my aura. That's when you see a color around someone, and he said mine was green, like in the middle of my forehead. So then I started doing different research into it and what it really means, and so I I came to feel that you can be spiritual, but you don't have to be religious, part of an organized religion, if that makes sense. Um, that you can believe things, but it doesn't make you a bad person if you don't believe in only certain things, if that makes sense. Um, so my spirituality has evolved. It really has. When I met my fiance was the first time that I knew someone personally who was Jewish. So she introduced me to those traditions and the holidays and all that. As I did my research, what I came to feel is that to me, there's got to be more than just us. Um, there has to be something bigger than us. You know, and there has to be, to me, something out there, not controlling my life. And I've come to believe, too, that sometimes bad things happen and we don't have any control over them. I don't like when when people think people say things like God has a plan or it was meant to be or everything happens for a reason, because really, no. Um, Sometimes things happen randomly. Bad things happen randomly to very good people. Um, it's just part of life. But that's a deep topic to get into. So spirituality versus religion. I think there's a few things you can think about that. You can think that you're a spiritual person, but not part of any organized religion. Some people, I would think, have a religion that they follow, like they're Catholic, they're Baptist, they're Methodist, they're whatever they are. But they also have a spirituality about them. So I feel that I'm at a comfortable place with my spirituality, but I'm always learning and I'm always growing. Oh, and then there's something called faith. So faith to me, when someone says, I have faith in this, I have faith in God, means that without evidence, you believe in something that you know is true, or you know something's going to happen, even though it's not right in front of you, clear cut with evidence. Um, so in terms of my spirituality, I do believe, like I said, there is a higher power. I don't necessarily call it God. I can call it God, but I don't believe that one man is up there controlling the universe. I think it's made up of several different entities. So I believe in the goddess. I believe in spirits, and I believe in the universe. So to me, my spirituality is made up of several components. Um, I take some things from religions that really resonate with me, and I reject um, those that are to me um, are not are terrible, and they should have no place in spirituality. Um, things like you're going to burn in hell and purgatory and all that. I just don't believe in that. I believe that there is a place like heaven or where people cross over. When you're a psychic medium, you learn to get in touch with those aspects because you're talking to those who've passed. And to me, it's all about receiving and giving energy. Now, my Reiki practice is not religious at all. It's more holistic, spiritual approach, but there is no religious component, which I love. So I can do Reiki on anyone. So when I practice or use my spirituality, it includes things like waking up and being thankful to the universe for providing me with abundance. I have an altar where I have different components on the altar. I have three shrines because a friend of mine, Taryn, told me about how he has shrines. And shrines are when you honor a specific god or goddess or a religious figure and spirit guides and ancestors and all that. And Mary and I talked about spirit guides. I had her on my podcast, and we had a really great discussion about spirit guides and what they are and how you can be in contact with them. So she told me that one of my spirit guides is Mother Mary. Now, Mother Mary is traditionally seen in the Catholic religion, and you would think that she would have no place in my life, but I read up on her, and she's what we call an ascended master. Buddha is ascended master. Archangel Michael is a ascended master, and Gabriel. So these are people who have risen above and taken forms of like spiritual beings. So I said, okay, so she's one of my spirit guides. Good. So I have a little shrine to her, and she makes sure that my heart's taken care of, and that she just supports me and just shows me unconditional love. One of my other spirit guides is a goddess, Athena, and Athena is she was a warrior, and she doesn't have a really great side or history. I had to do more research, but if you know who Medusa is, the one with the snakes out of her head, that was Athena who did that because she thought that Medusa was very vain and decided to teach her a lesson. So she's the one who said, well, now you're going to have snakes on the top of your head, and when you look at people, they're going to turn to stone. And so she kind of did her kind of dirty, but other than that, she's a goddess of wisdom, and so her symbol is the owl. So I have a little statue of Athena with an owl. I love Buddha. I love Buddhist. I don't think I could ever become a Buddhist, full time. That takes a lot of discipline to me and hard work. But Buddhism is huge. I'm studying Buddhism as well. So I have a little Buddha shrine. And then a couple other spirit guides who I know who watch over me is my Granny Hunter, who appeared to me. I'll have to tell you how she appeared to me. It was just amazing. Not in her human form, but where she is now. And my father is also one of my spirit guides, and they watch over me and they guide me. So that's part of my spirituality. It's just basically feeling like we are part of something that goes way beyond us and makes us part of something that's pretty great. A lot of people consider themselves, when they're out in nature, that's a very spiritual experience. Being with their animals is a very spiritual experience. going hiking, or when they're jogging and they get that runner's high. I mean, if you if I tried to define it, it's so hard for me to define it, but I had to. I guess I could be considered maybe something called multi-faith, which is I take different aspects from different religions and incorporate them into my life. Doesn't mean that anyone is better than the others. Um, and then there's something called omnism, and that's where you accept other religions, but not believing in everything they teach. So, um, like Mother Mary, and but there's a lot of things about Catholicism that I just don't agree with. Um, so if I had to really pinpoint where my major focus is, I would have to say that it's primarily Wicca, which is a religion. It's also known as a craft. It's very much earth centered, and the pentagram is the main focal point. It is part of the pagan movement. There's gods and goddesses. There's no official church, although I think the Unitarian Church welcomes pagans and witches and Wiccans and all that. But there are ceremonies that are performed, and I celebrate these. We have the witches calendar, and then I do look at the moon cycles. So these ceremonies that I participate in go center around the Wheel of the Year, which is in the Wiccan calendar. Like we're coming upon Halloween, which is also I always say this wrong. Samhain, I think it's Samheine, but it's pronounced like Samhain. And so that's what I follow. And those are called Sabbats. And I also follow the moon cycle. And I really believe, like with the full moon, you release what you want to release from you, and the new moon you bring things that you want to attract into your life, and those are Esbats. So the witch's calendar is based on changes it's found like in natures and seasons. And Samhain, like I said, Halloween is it's actually like the first part of the calendar, even though it's in October. And this is where what they call the veil gets very thin, where the connection between the living and the dead it lowers, so you have more connection. So we all kind of do our unique things, how we practice, but there is a community that's out there. So that's primarily what my belief system is, and what I practice in order to embrace something that's bigger than myself. For me, I just can't see myself as an atheist where I believe that we're just biological beings and we're born and then we die. There's diseases and that. I can't do that. Agnostic, I wouldn't even be agnostic, because in my life as a psychic medium, as a tarot reader, there are things that I know, that I can see. I talk to spirit that I can't explain how I know what I know. When spirit talks to me, it goes just beyond what I can feel and touch, and with my own senses. And I meditate as well, and I listen to my spirit guides when I meditate. So that just shows me that there is something that goes way beyond than what we humans can comprehend. The universe is vast, and it's deep, and we can't even begin to fathom time with the universe. So anyway, what am I getting back to? I think I'm getting off topic. So we're talking about spirituality. So to me, that is my spirituality. And there are, just like I said, there's just some things that I've seen and have happened, things I've dreamed that have come true. I call those when I have deja vu, and those are happening more and more. Talking to different people, it's just I could go on and on. So I'd be really interested to hear feedback on what you believe when it comes to spirituality and spirituality versus religion versus faith. And when I was asking people what spirituality means to them, I was pretty surprised that there was no trend. Nobody said the same thing. They all had different things. They were all completely different to what people believed. We all connect and we go on the same level, but everyone has a different idea about what spirituality means to them. So I would love to hear what it means to you. It's a tough topic because it's a very sensitive topic because there's been a lot done in the name of religion, that some very bad stuff has happened with people who claim they're doing it on behalf of God and behalf of Jesus, and that's why I told my friend once. I said I have a very complicated relationship with God because, like I said to you folks, that when when I was growing up the way I grew up, and I was angry for a long time. Why did this happen to me? If there's a God, how could it happen to me? How can I believe in anything when this has happened? But now I've come to realize that what happened and what happens when bad stuff happens is that it's just so random and there's no control of it. It's nothing that you do or I do. It's just the way life is. And I feel that a lot of as awful as this is going to sound, I wouldn't wish. People say if I had to live my life all over again, I would do it. No, I wouldn't. I would eliminate a huge part of my trauma. That would be gone. But I've actually become a more spiritual person because of it. I've become, I think, I'm more compassionate. I'm kinder. I treat people a lot better, and I really appreciate life. I've been way down, with little or no money, feeling depressed and suicidal and all that. And then just when I think that I could give up, I feel like I get this uplift from the universe and from spirit, and I get provided for, and I make it. And there are some days when I would have to live hour by hour trying to get through the pain, day by day, week by week. And you just start to, when stuff like that happens to you, you just start to question everything. But I do believe that my spirituality is evolving. I'm still learning. Like, I'd love to learn more about the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran, like what those books mean. I mean, I'm always looking for knowledge and studying and about different religions and spirituality, and I just know that that it should be an ever evolving process for people. I think if you become too rigid, you you don't open yourself up to seeing more of the beauty in life, as it were. Um, so anyway, that's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to think what else I want to say. Gosh, I've been talking now for a while, and I want to say that on an ending note that I respect people's religious beliefs. I respect people's spirituality, and I would just say that if you can be kind and compassionate in this world, then you are a spiritual person. So, all right, those are my thoughts. I welcome your feedback. Again, you can email me at the healinglight1@gmail.com. Reach out to me on Facebook, The Healing Light, Instagram. You can message me. I look forward to hearing from you. So, thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and thank you from Caitlin and the Healing Light podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.